I started thinking of, instead of podcast anywhere, what if I had like a space like my basement, because we're all confined during COVID. I said, what if I did a show in my basement, broadcast it out to the world? Then I'm not confined by the capacity of my room. I could be as big as Madison Square Garden. It's kind of when I realized that, okay, I could have a theater space with an audience. And while we're doing that, people could be watching in the theater or at home. And they could be interacting. They could be commenting. They could pop up on stage from, across the world. And this theater anywhere concept became the infinite seat theater is what I called it.
Welcome to another episode of From Startup to Wunderbrand with Nicholas Kuhner. As you can see, we have a podcasting pro behind us, and that is a green screen, but that is a green screen of the actual place that people come to, where they come to Poduty. So we have Jeff. My name is Jeff. We have Jeff Revila with us today, who is the owner of Poduty, which is in Tarentum, I think I read that wrong, which is in Tarentum, Pennsylvania. And I've been looking forward to this chat because we talked to a lot of entrepreneurs who do quite stale and boring products like selling things or random services. But here we've got Jeff, who is actually taken the leap and started his own podcast studio, but a live studio audience podcast studio at that as well. So we're going to talk a little bit about that and some of the mishaps, some of the awesome things that are happening, and then a couple of tips and tricks that are going to help you push your audience and become a master at podcasts. So Jeff, welcome.
Thank you so much. I think you're the first person to ever use Poduty as a verb. They come here to Poduty. You don't have to do that in the studio, but you can make great content.
So I'm going to spell it out for folks as well, so they can figure out how to spell it. It's Poduty. So it's poduty.com. So I mean, it could be Poduty or Poduty. I mean, there's a multiple ways of spelling that. Let's talk about number one. What is it? So, what inspired you to create this space that you've got? Because I've seen it. I've seen a couple of the interviews. I've seen a couple of people riffing in the space. It's fantastic. Tell me about it.
I had this idea for about 7 years just stuck in my head, and the origins of this come from a platform back in 2015 called Blab. And the internet's really divided by the people who knew about Blab and don't know about Blab. But if you were there, Blab was this amazing social video broadcasting platform that was one of the first four in the box on the screen. And the people watching could send commands and shake the screen and send props, and like coins and thumbs up were flying around everywhere. This was in 2015. And at that time I said, there's something here that's bigger than just, hanging out with your friends. There's this whole social and community element that you don't get anywhere else. And Blab grew really rapidly. And I was building a trivia show that I still air. It's called Stuff I Never Knew. I started doing this trivia show with people that I didn't know from around the world. And Blab grew so rapidly with no business model. And by 2016, it just collapsed on its own weight. It couldn't keep up with servers. It couldn't keep up with the growth. And it left this giant hole in all of our hearts. The people who were there were like, man, that was something very, very special, that this social platform had this amazing worldwide community element. And you would go live and they would just deliver 40 people to your room. And it was like a party, like instant all the time. And I kept thinking, like, how do I recreate this? How do I get that energy back? How do we have fun like that all the time while communicating and getting together with your tribe, like people that you know and like? And I started to think of different iterations, and eventually I was like, well, maybe if Blab's not around anymore, and I've tried to peer in and Google Hangouts and YouTube Live, and none of those things were like Blab. I was like, what if I just started taking my show out to people? And I designed a little theater that fit in the back of my sedan. That was the criteria. I had some speakers, some microphones, a podium, and I thought, what if I went to a park or a pavilion, like a clamshell, or a walking trail along a river, like jump out from behind a tree and start interviewing people. I just thought it'd be so much fun to take podcasting into the world and bring it to the people. And as we grew in this idea, I started to book little events here and there, like friends' houses in their basements. And a friend of mine opened a coffee shop and said, "Hey, why don't you bring your setup to our parking lot? I'll get a taco truck to come in, and we'll do live shows for people." I was like, "Oh my, this is interesting now." So we did free tacos and trivia one night, and I set up my whole thing and had a great time. Like 35, 40 people showed up. I'm like, "Oh, wait a second." He's like, "Let's do another one." And so we decided that we booked like this little auditorium on the third floor of an old school, and we had it. This was the first time I was bringing indoors to a stage, and that was free tacos, drinks, and trivia. And we scheduled it for March 30th, 2020, which timing wasn't the best as the world had shut down 2 weeks prior. But we kept thinking like, oh, maybe it'll pass, right? It was like March 15th. We're like, okay, 2 weeks. Like, it's outside the 2 week window. March 30th, we should be fine.
Sorry
And
for
it never
you.
it never really went anywhere. And so while we were home, I kept refining this idea. I started thinking of, instead of podcast anywhere, what if I had like a space like my basement, because we're all confined during COVID. I said, what if I did a show in my basement, broadcast it out to the world? Then I'm not confined by the capacity of my room. I could be as big as Madison Square Garden. And that's kind of when it lit up for me. It's kind of when I realized that, okay, I could have a theater space with an audience. And while we're doing that, people could be watching in the theater or at home, and they could be interacting. They could be commenting. They could pop up on stage from, across the world. And this theater anywhere concept became the infinite seat theater is what I called it. And I had a chance to present that at Podfest in 2020. I got really good feedback. And so after that, I'm like, oh, this is great. People are liking what I'm talking about. I started acquiring like little bits and pieces of the theater. I bought chairs from an old Catholic school. These orange chairs you see here are school chairs. I got for $2 a piece. And I bought this stage from a karate school. I got 4 pieces of it. I've been buying stuff on auction sites from Amazon returns, and my basement was literally filling up with everything that would become this theater. And I started looking for buildings. I probably looked at 40, 50 buildings trying to find the right one. I could never find it. And then last year, I was like, I don't know if this is ever going to happen. Like, this has been going on in my head for 7 years. I think about this all the time. I think there's something here. And finally, just on a whim, on Facebook Marketplace, this little place pops up behind me. I instantly walk in, and I know that this is the place that it's going to work at. And I also was turning 48 in a couple months. And I said, okay, here's the deal. Here's the contract with myself. I'm tired of thinking about this. I need to figure out if this is a thing or not. Let's do this. And I have until I'm 50 to figure it out. If it is, great. I'll do this till I retire or expire, either one. And then if it's not, hey, I took a swing at the bat. I now know that there's something here, but it wasn't the right time. It wasn't the right place. It wasn't, and I did it. I took the risk, and I took the swing at the bat. So the long story short, how did I get to the theater part? It started with an online show, an online website called Blab.
Well, it's so inspiring. And I mean, this is how all great things start. And I can really sort of see multiple versions of this around the country, because we all love looking at TikTok and Instagram and things like that. And wouldn't it be great to be able to engage with some of our favorite smaller influencers, those who don't have cash money? They're doing it with their own money and just doing videos and skits on their phones. It would be great to be able to have them in a town near you, in a space like yours, where there is the production of the event is managed, and no upfront fees and charges and things like that, and it can be streamed and have real people in the space and have merchandising that you sell. I think it's such a wonderful idea and has such potential to scale out of Tarantula. I mean, Tarangula, sorry, out of Tarentum,
Turpentine.
Turpentine, Tantrum. I'm sure out of Tarentum. So I think that's great, and you've got some really cool sort of events going on. You've got the Smokers Lounge, Pittsburgh Podcast Meetup, Trivia Fundraiser, Crips and Corks, Paula Antonio. My favorite is Ebonize My Business. So I mean, there's
Yeah.
some good. there's a smorgasbord, and it just gives everybody the opportunity to get out there. And who knows if this is the equivalent of Kill Tony, and you've got the next big thing being found at one of your shows, at one of your events.
Yeah, I mean, we do know that celebrities and influencers are pulling big audiences into theaters, and Kill Tony just did Madison Square Garden. I already just referenced that location, and so we know that it's happening, and it's still a new thing. It's still a new form of entertainment. People typically think about their podcasts as something they listen to on their morning commute or while they're working out or in the background while they're cooking dinner. They just put it on and just have some company. But podcasting as a form of entertainment isn't quite as established as when you want to go see a band, you go to a venue or a bar, or if you want to see a comedian, you go to a comedy club. With this, we're trying to show people like this is a new form of entertainment. And we know they're doing it because we see the Kill Tonys and the Whitney Cummings and the Bill Burrs doing these huge live events based on their podcast. So if you look at what happened to music in the 80s, right? The glam rock, the Poisons, the Bon Jovis, the Def Leppard, they started filling arenas, but they couldn't just do a show with just Def Leppard, right? They needed opening acts. And the problem we have in podcasting, there's a huge vacuum between people podcasting in their home studios and their home offices and Madison Square Garden,
Yeah.
right? What's the bridge that gets you out of the basement into small clubs who then, when podcasts come through your town, they look for opening acts, they're going to start pulling talent locally, from people who can do it. And you mentioned like these little things popping up all over the place. Can you imagine this middle ground now of these independent podcasters producing these small shows in their own town, but not just near Pittsburgh where we're at, but Cleveland and Baltimore and Cincinnati? Now you have options as a podcaster. You can go on the tour for a weekend, do 3 dates, 3 stops, come back home. You got a couple bucks in your pocket. You had a good time. You met some new friends, and you got to share podcasting with a new city. So I think there's a huge vacuum in this realm of this middle ground between basements and Madison Square Garden that little things like this are going to pop up all over the place. Like you said, you'd love to see that. I think we're going to see that in 3 to 5 years. This will be as popular as comedy clubs or rock venues.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, with Substack, you can, and I've got 1 or 2 podcasts that I follow, and you pay your monthly fee, and you can get an email, or you can get on a call with your favorite podcaster. And I had that. I'd been listening to this one particular podcaster who I really admire, and he messaged me and said, "Okay, we're going to schedule a time for a call." And man, it was like talking to a friend. I knew all of his stuff, and his first time meeting me, and there was an immediate connection because I already knew, we were on the same wavelength in terms of the things that we talk about. So I had a fantastic time. And that's where these kind of events are great. You can start with the problem a lot of we podcasters have is we don't see our audience, we never get to interact. And this is like book signings, and this is not a new phenomenon. In Mark Twain used to do this. He used to go around the country talking about his books and telling stories and fun things. And it might mean that podcasters need to add an extra little something special to their offering to make live shows good. So bringing in a bit of music, bringing in a ventriloquist or whatever it is yeah.
I like the ventriloquist. Yeah.
Exactly. To get to make it a show, because people are looking for content, and I think looking for opportunities to go out. So I really love the idea. So we're going to talk after this anyway. I want to see how I can do this in Norway where I'm about. So I had a little question here because
Okay.
you spoke about going buying all sorts of equipment and things like that. And I wanted to, the question before I even met you was, how much equipment is enough? When do
Yeah.
you stop? And yeah,
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of bootstrapping. Like I grew up skateboarding in the 80s and 90s and punk rock. So like you make the most of what you got. Like if you have just a crusty old ramp in the corner, you skate that ramp until it collapses flat, and then you skate it as a manual pad. Like you do some, it's a like you use everything you got the best you can. So for me, like that idea of what's the most amount of I can get with the least amount of money. So, I shopped around to find chairs. So, you buy chairs, they're $15, $20, for chairs. Those types of chairs from schools are like $40 to $50 a piece. So there was a place that was closing that said, hey, we have to get this church cleared out by the weekend. Make a donation to the church and we'll give you some chairs. So I said, I'll take all your orange chairs. I'll give you $250. And there was like 100 of them.
wow,
And they said, yeah. And I was like, oh, did I come in too high?
dang,
I thought I was lowballed them. And they accepted. But I mean, that was important to me. Like it was important for the church to get rid of them so that they didn't end up in the scrap heap. They got a little bit of money to support their missions. And I got some great chairs out of it and parts, to replace. I only need 40. So I have 60 chairs as backups. And same with like the stage and the pipe and drape that you see all around, and the tables and chairs. I probably saved $3,000 to $4,000 buying stuff at auctions, buying Amazon returns,
and
buying
you
stuff
you
on.
could have waited until you had enough money to make it look like a Hollywood set, but you just went and did it.
Yeah, and honestly, it's a total accident that it looks good because like I just happened to find a building with red carpeting, with red ceilings. The landlord really encouraged me to paint the walls black. It was his idea, so it all these things, these elements, like just converged on this one room last April and May, and it became something accidentally. Like like I don't have a background in stage design, or none of this layout was really planned. The what I did know is I wanted to recreate. You mentioned about listening to podcasts where you felt like this person, so it was important for me to recreate that experience that you get when you have the host in your ear. That's what the stage is. If you look at the chairs, are C-shaped around the stage, and there's only 3 rows the whole way around. So when the lights go down and only those stage lights are on and you're only 3 rows from the stage, you can't help but to be pulled in to the center of that stage and get the same experience you get listening in your car, but you're seeing it, like you're there. And you also mentioned some of the like benefits of doing these live shows. For the person watching, you can never guess what somebody looks like just by their voice. You can try, you can picture what somebody looks like, but I guarantee you've never done it in your whole life. But when you're at the theater, now you're putting a face to that voice. You're getting to see them and make eye contact and laugh, and at the end of the show shake hands with the podcaster, meet them, and thank them. Maybe a previous episode brighten your day. You had gone through a tough time and I was cracking up. You really helped me get through something. So as the podcaster up on stage, you're getting that real-time feedback. You're getting the laughter from the audience, or you're getting blank faces and people looking at their phones, which is worse. But when you get that afterwards, when people come up to you and say thank you and I really enjoyed that and you should keep doing what you're doing, you don't get that from uploading an MP3 file and letting people download it.
Yeah.
You only get that from being there in person and building this little community of local people who share your same passions.
And I think that's important because if we look at the number of, I'm sure on Podmatch you'd have seen some results that Alex shares, that a majority of podcasts shut down after 20 episodes, 40 episodes, because I think there's that lack of human interaction. We're just leaving everything on digital, and they're missing that personal engagement, which podcasts are purely just supposed to be another way of getting our message out there. Now, you've got a lot of events happening, and you mentioned something over and over: free tacos, free drinks. Here I see you can have no upfront fees. Use our come, yes, you can use our space for free. All I'm hearing is free. Did you not just buy the chairs from the church, but join the church and become a charitable organization? Talk to me about cash money.
I didn't mention the clause where I joined a cult, so that was part of the sale of the chairs. There is money involved. There's certainly money involved, but my goal is, like if you go back to my roots, right? Skateboarding, punk rock, it's about community. It's about being in the moment, immersed with your peers, and creating something. That's all skateboarding and punk. It's creating and sharing with the community. So my goal with this business model is to take the risk out of the podcaster. I don't want somebody who's only been podcasting in their home studio or basement who wants to give this a shot to be worried that, oh, I'm going to be on the hook for a $250 contract for a room rental, or, I have to sell 100 tickets or this guy's not even going to talk to me. So the way we do it, and we structure it so that when you come in and you book a show, we build you a landing page. We will handle all the ticket sales on your behalf. We produce the event. We record the event. We give you back the recording, and we don't take any ownership. We never say this is our content because we recorded it at our studio. It's for the podcaster. We hope that they release it as their next episode or a future episode. We hope that they mention us. It'd be super cool. And we have found that when people say, hey, come check us out next April, we're going to be on the main stage at the Poduty Live Podcast Theater, it instantly elevates their credibility. Like, hey, we're going live and we're going on the main stage. So we want them to do those things. And then, so where's the money come in, right? So at the end of the night, because we do in-person and virtual, you could sell 40 tickets in the theater, 1,000 tickets virtually if you wanted. We sit down and everybody clears out. All the hands are being done, getting shaken. All the babies getting kissed, so that we sit down together and I go through the dashboard. I show them the dashboard. Here's what you did. Here's the way your sales came in. Here's the extra add-ons that you did. Maybe you added a BYOB ticket or some merchandise. All these add-ons get calculated, and we split the door 50-50. So for most podcasters, let's say they sell 10 tickets at $20 or $10. They made $100 in sales. They're going to walk out for a 90-minute show making $50. And some people are like, oh, $50, that's not a lot. But if you look at what most podcasters make, 90% of podcasters make $0.
Yeah, exactly.
So now we've given them
minus dollars.
Yeah. For most podcasters, it's a hobby, right?
Yeah.
So is this going to be a huge winner for everybody? No, but we start those people off in, the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday shows. And as their shows grow, we push them to Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and even like Sunday shows. But we want to foster this environment of growth where we want your show to grow because it helps the theater grow. And when you grow, you want to do this over and over again. And then we want you to do it over and over again because it's kind of this self-fulfilling prophecy where you're selling more tickets, we're even happier. So it's built for growth, and it's built for supporting those independent podcasters who just don't have another alternative other than recording in their home studio.
Well, next time that I come to Tarentum, I'm going to make sure that I've booked in advance to try and get onto that at least the Monday at 5 o'clock show or 4 o'clock show. That's where my status would be right now, and move my way up to the main stage. I think it's so exciting. So, and I see great potential for this, and I'd love to see more of these around the country. And I think you should be setting your, obviously get your ducks in a row here, but setting your sights high, tell people about your concept, and get it done. I love it.
World domination.
Exactly. So, Jeff, where can I send folks?
Please send them to the website. A lot of great information there. A lot of things that I talked about. I like to make sure, like, my most important asset is my word. So whatever I told you, you heard on this podcast, I guarantee you it's on that website, and I will stand by it. Like, that's my most valuable currency. Is I always stick to what I say. Even sometimes I make some bad deals, I honor those deals because I gave you my word. So Poduty.com, Poduty.com. You can find dates and deets at Poduty.com. There's a little form there if you want to contact me. If you have questions, I answer so many questions about people who are curious about live podcasting or just podcasting in general. Ask away. I'm happy to help.
Now, I just want to make sure everyone knows there are going to be no free tacos and no free booze now. That was pre-COVID. So just in case anyone thinks, oh yeah, free tacos on Jeff's account.
But if you come to the Pittsburgh podcast meetups, which I do for the local podcasters, uh, I use this to get people into the door who are podcasters, and then I try to encourage them to get up on the main stage. But I do buy pizza and drinks for the Pittsburgh podcast meetup. So once again, free food.
Brilliant. Well, I mean, with a sales pitch like that, how can we say no? Jeff, it's been an absolute treat speaking to you, and I look forward to seeing you in a couple of months, and maybe we can do. So I had some other questions. For example, how can folks prepare to be on stage for the first time if they haven't done it? So there's a whole bunch of, what's best streaming tools? How can they market themselves afterward? So there's a whole bunch of things we can talk about, and I'd love to talk to you again. You've got such a great presence. So thanks for your time.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'd love to come back anytime.
I really do appreciate your comments. So why not go and watch this live on YouTube, or go to my website, kuhne.no. That's kuhne.no for more information.